This video is going to be about how to make homemade yogurt. And these are the items that you'll need to do this. 2 dish towels, a gallon of milk. You can use 2% or whole. And you can also use a half a gallon too. Today I'm doing a gallon. And a Tupperware container. This size will hold a gallon of milk. You can also use something like this. This should be good for a half a gallon. Any type of plastic container with the lid that you have. You'll need a thermometer, a strainer. This is some previously made yogurt. This is a starter. Okay, so this is what the yogurt's going to look like when you're done with it. It's pretty thick. And there's nothing in here. It's just plain yogurt. So if you don't have a starter from your previous recipe, I think you can also use something from the supermarket, Fage or Dannon, but make sure it's plain and that there's no salt or any sugar in it. It has to be plain, otherwise the yogurt won't set. So, yeah, and make sure it's the full fat yogurt, okay? So the Fage full fat or the Dannon full fat or whatever you find. And this is a heavy bottom pot so that the milk won't burn. Also rinse the pot with a little bit of water, as you can see, so the milk won't stick to the bottom of the pot. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to pour the milk slowly into the pot. This will fit the whole gallon, this pot. And then I'm going to turn the heat on high. And I'm going, okay, here we go. I'm going to turn the heat on high. Okay, and you're going to want to let this go for quite some time until it starts to boil, like around the edges. What you can also do to cut down this time would be to leave your milk out at room temperature and then start with room temperature milk. So I'm going to let this go. I'll time it and I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes and the milk's warming up. Now this is something you don't want to leave on the stove and walk away. You want to be around in the kitchen because you do not want the milk to foam and overflow. It'll make a huge mess. So when you make yogurt, you need to give yourself some time to stick around in the kitchen and be around for it when the milk starts to bubble up around the edges. So like I said, we're about 5 minutes in. So we're going to keep this going. Okay, so we're about 13 or 14 minutes in, and you can see that it's starting to bubble around the edges. And if you look closely, the skin is starting to form on top of the milk. That's the milk fat. See the bubbles around? Okay, so this is the time to turn off the heat, okay? Because you do not want this to overflow and go everywhere. So let's turn the heat off. And if you want, you can check and see the temperature. It's not important to do this at the moment, but just so you get an idea of how hot the milk is. Get a better reading here. Okay. So the milk is at about 160, about 160. Okay. So what you want to do is you want this to sit, and you want to check the temperature every 10 or 15 minutes. You want the temperature of the milk to get to, it's not a clear reading. You want the temperature of the milk to get to about 110. Once the temperature of the milk gets to 110 is when we're going to do the next step, okay? So stay tuned for part 2.